Hello parents, I'm Kamal Jeswani and we have a parenting expert group on WhatsApp as well as Facebook. We have around 1500 parents on WhatsApp groups and we have more than 2000 on Facebook. So we see a lot of lot of queries about how to manage the child behavior. However, this is taken now an extreme level because we are hearing a lot of cases where children are not able to manage their behavior, they are not able to handle some pressure, and they are resorting to extreme measures like nowadays we are hearing a lot of suicide cases and all. So we want to understand as to how the children can manage their behavior in a much better way, how they can handle their emotions, what kind of things parents can do whereby they can help their children. So we have got this panel discussion and we have our esteemed experts over here. We have nutritionist Shilpa Mittal. We have child psychologist Riddhi Doshi Patel. We also have career and education expert Rita Balachandran. And we have child expert Dr. Devang Shah. So we would just try to understand their views on how we can help the children manage their emotions. So over to you, Dr. Riddhi.
Uh, Thank you, Kamal. These days, when we are talking about such things, when the kids are opting for which is not supposed to be opted, the root cause goes it much in the childhood, right? So, as we already spoke before, also about the overuse of gadgets. So, along with that, it's very important that a parent inculcates the trait of resilience in a child. It's very very important to have a trait of resilience because the child needs to understand that even if there is a failure in life, it's okay. It's okay to fail sometimes, but the child should understand that okay, if I fail, and now what? How do I overcome it? And that bonding has to be created with the parents, and the trait of resilience has to be created in the child. One more thing which is very important to be inculcated in the child right from the beginning, while the child is around 3 or 4 years, is the power of decision making. What we as a parent do is we give judgments to the child. It is not good to give out judgments to the child. In fact, for small things, give out the pros and cons to a child and let the child decide. So when the child is going to decide for small things like which fruit you want to eat, or which, while we were discussing before with sir also right now, that which food you would like to have, which fruit you would like to have, which color dress you want to wear, is where you are inculcating the child, in the child, a power of decision making, and the child understand that if I have decided to wear this, I have to stand by it. So the child starts understanding the onus of that decision that is taken, and the responsibility that if I've taken the decision, certain decision as a child, my responsibility is to see to it that I stand by it because it's my own decision, right? So this is very important for a parent to inculcate this traits right from the beginning in the child.
Right. Okay, Dr. Shilpa Mittal, we have heard about impact of nutrition also, on this kind of an aggressive behavior. So, do you think there's some kind of is junk food the contributing to it, or is it something else?
Yes, Kamal. Actually, it is like a healthy mind, healthy body creates a healthy mind.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if you eat healthy and nutritious food, your mind will work accordingly. But if you feed your body a lot of junk food, which is basically devoid of all nutrients, the mind will not work as it needs to work. So basically, junk food doesn't give you anything. Actually, it robs your body of all the essential nutrients it has. So the body has to work harder in digesting that.
Right.
So the right amount of nutrition what the brain needs doesn't reach the brain, and so the kind of depressing thoughts or the person going into depression, and then the cycle continues wherein the person doesn't feel like eating healthy.
Okay.
So it's a whole cycle that once the person gets into a depression or a certain kind of behavior, the person gets into wrong eating. So then again that cycle keeps on going on. So if you eat nutritious food, your brain will work accordingly because there are certain neurotransmitters and certain chemicals which are released on eating certain kind of food. So for example, say proteins. they have an amino acid called tryptophan, which is a precursor for serotonin, which is a hormone which which is a chemical, sorry, which basically calms you down.
Right.
So something like milk, curd, paneer, all this will give you a good boost of serotonin.
Okay.
So your diet has to be a balanced diet with all home cooked meals. So that's very important.
Right. So you are saying that food does have an impact on this kind of on behavior
Yes,
or
a lot
extreme
of
steps.
yes, a lot of impact. So if you have certain nuts, say almonds, walnuts, certain seeds like flax seeds, all this is good for your brain basically. I mean, it will help you create all those chemicals which will basically help you feel good.
Okay.
So your diet has to be rich in all the say good carbohydrates, something which comes from whole grains like different grains we used to eat previously like jawar, nachni, maize. All this will give you again complex carbohydrate which will also boost your serotonin levels. Then proteins, vitamins, as I spoke about the seeds which give you omega-3 fatty acids.
Mhm.
So your diet has to be a balance of all this.
Right. Okay. Over to Rita. Rita, we have also heard that some children are not able to handle the academic pressure, or maybe they have selected some kind of a wrong field where they feel that they are not good enough for it, or they feel that field is not good enough for them, and they want to come out of that, and because they have already gone halfway through, now they are in a position where they can't come back, and they resort to taking extreme steps. So have you seen such cases in your career?
Yes, I, you know, to me, children come at all ages. And when a parent brings them, they sometimes are coming very early in the stage to find out where to or which school to join. But as they grow and when they have to take long term decisions, if they don't come for career guidance or if they are able to understand, their own interest, each child has got something in themselves, some unique capability that they have or a talent that they have. Now, as a parent, you need to be observant about your child and not push them or direct them towards a certain path which is very common or
Yeah.
a prevalent path. So something like saying that, okay, if I like science and if I enjoy doing physics, chemistry, maths, the only route is not engineering. In fact, a lot of children who come after joining engineering colleges and then come back saying that after 1 year or 2 year that I'm not happy with what I'm doing. And then for a child it is very difficult to go back to a parent if the environment at home is not accepting the child's failure. The child sees as a failure that okay, I went into one route and I could not manage, and then I started showing my progress started declining. Now how do I go back and discuss it with my parents? Will my parents accept it? What will the world around say that I have not been able to do it? But maybe because at the earlier stage when they were making a decision, there was nobody to guide them at that stage, whether that path is what is meant for them or is there any other alternative route. And there is no harm in losing out that 1 year of your life or 2 years of our life, rather than continuing it and then taking a decision when sometimes a lot of adults also come to me saying that we are not happy with the kind of jobs that we are doing.
Right.
Which means you went ahead because you took a course at that time, you could not go back. So throughout your life you are unhappy doing whatever you are doing. So it's okay to
Change
1
the
year in
path.
your life does not make too much of a difference than the life which is ahead of you. So to be happy and fulfilling with the career that you are taking, it's very important to do what you like, and then only you will also progress in life. So if the environment in the house, where you're in your own family, and if you are not a parent who's accepting that, the later they face a failure, the difficult it is for them to accept it.
Right.
So if a child is failing in the beginning and then as a parent we find out what is the root, why is it happening, why the child, if they are not good with maths or they are not good with any subject, there are alternative routes. We are talking of careers which are like beyond imagination, the number of options which are there. So why not to find out those options which are suitable for your own child? But for that, one, you need to be what your child is good at. And second, you need to be, encouraging also to take them maybe alternative options.
Okay. My question to you, Dr. Devansha, we have seen that because you have been seeing children for the last 25 years. Okay, did you notice any difference in their mental or the thought pattern, how it was in the earlier days and now how it is like, could that be contributing to this extreme measure?
Um, it's a very important to realize nowadays that present generation, the amount of pressure they undergo, not only peer pressure, gadget pressure, financial pressure, but they also undergo a psychological pressure. I'll just give you an example. I had a child who was vomiting for almost a 1 month, but every time when the child was forced to go to phonic classes, now a 3-year-old child, somehow she did not like to go to a phonic classes. So every time the class time comes, she used to vomit and she used to avoid. So this is also a psychological manifestation or a pressure on the child. And child is
3-year-old.
not, yeah, a 3-year-old, and that
My
is
God.
not able to cope up. And after multiple tests and everything, then they came to me and I told them that this is nothing, no pathological, there is no disease. Just stop the phonic classes and she'll be all right. And she gained 2 kg in just less than 10 days time, and she was back to normal. So, here I would like to tell the parents is that there are certain things which you should also subtly judge from your child's behavior, whether what he is liking,
Yes.
what he is not liking. Sometimes child may not be able to communicate to you. I would say very classical examples of child abuse where you should, as a parent or as a mother, should judge from the child's behavior that something has gone wrong with her or him. Once you start appreciating, then you probe, then you might get the history of it. Now, coming to your question, that definitely, in the past, the kids were more resilient because they faced failure very early in life. I would say, just to give you, there were so many kids in the house that for maybe one apple, they had to fight among themselves, 6 of them. Here, there are 6 apples for a one child,
Yes.
So, and when you have learned to just hear yes every now and then, to hear that one no is a disastrous effect both on the psyche and the physical behavior of the child. Physical behavior. I'm using the word, and then there comes the aggression and the anger tantrums. Like art of saying no, every parent should also learn
So true.
that why something cannot be given to a child who is 2-year-old, why something can be partially given to a child who is 6-year-old, and why something is certain no even if the child is 12-year-old. So that's the art of saying no. And very important thing, Madam Riti had also pointed out, that first you allow them to make decisions. Whatever the smallest decision, I will wear these shoes, I will wear this socks, I will know this, I will wear this dress. You said no, it's cold outside, don't wear sleeveless t-shirts. But if she insists or he insists, and she says after going out and she says I'm feeling cold, then you can say, see dear, I told you that. Right? So let them take the decisions as well as let them bear the consequences of that decision making.
So true.
Once they learn this, say give a classical example. In a previous year, I would just say 20 years back, mother used to just serve the plate on a table. If you are there at that time, you get to eat. If you are not there, the plate goes back in the kitchen. Right? Here, I have a scene where the mother is running from first floor to second floor in the lift, in the gallery. And she's behind the child to just make them eat. So once you are not used to accepting refusals, it is difficult for a child to accept refusal later on in the life. And here, very important that the parents should say certain things which are going to empower the child that even you can survive without these things, or even you can, stay without these things. Sometimes when the parents come, they say he's insisting on a expensive gadget or a jewelry or something. I ask a very simple question, that in a race there are 10 students which are running, but only one person gets the first number or the gold medal. Does it mean that the rest of the 9 should not even run the race? अरे एक ही को मिलने वाला है, मैं क्यों भागूं, उसको मिल जाएगा, मुझे रहने दो. No, still you have to put in your effort, still you have to appear in that race, and you have to run the race. So winning is not the goal. Participating and experiencing that run is the goal. Here in the life, you are in a race. Every time you may not be the winner, but participating in all the events of life, whether the success or failure, is very important, and you accept everything gracefully. Neither success should go to your head, nor a failure should go to your heart. This is a very important thing. Even we make our parents understand that they also should take their child's failure. I used to love my science teacher, because once we went there to his place, and his daughter dropped a glass of water from the hand, and it spilled all over the place, and we were just worried because the science teacher was very strict, and we were really terrified that he might just shout at his daughter. So we were utterly surprised when he said, "Oh daughter, it's not your fault, this is gravity. If there would have been no gravity, the glass would have floated. Na? So you don't worry." Now this is what I want our parents also to learn.
Yeah.
That even if there is, see, suppose a child has broken a thing, and if he comes and tells you, and then you slap, "What is this nonsense?" Next time he will do something wrong, he will never come and tell you.
Yeah.
And he will go into a vicious circle of lying,
Yes.
doing wrong things, lying, doing wrong things. It is better you appreciate. बच्चा आपसे टूट गया, लेकिन एक बात अच्छी हुई, आपने मुझे बता दिया, अगली बार ध्यान रखना. The word ends there.
Yes.
The scolding ends there, and it will definitely make child more responsible and more careful in the future also.
So true.
So this is what my take on the parenting is, that I agree parenting is a difficult. If the working parents, when they come home, they are all stressed out. And a smallest thing from the child also trips them. I'm using the word. It literally trips them. But to maintain a compose and to deal with a child in a proper manner, it's very important.
Right. Okay, Riddhi, we have also heard that nowadays children, they want instant results, okay? And they have got so used to, achieving everything and anything, because they have always participated in a race where there is no other participant. It's only the technology and them. So there also, people have got used to that kind of thing. So have you seen any such cases in your case history, like, where children have got used to that and they are not willing to accept the failure?
Lot many, Kamal, because the refusal is not so easy to accept. And while they're exposed to technology from younger ages, that they are always seeing the world of winning, right? Also from the younger age, they are given everything they have asked for. So there is no word no been inculcated in the child in terms of not giving out the things, right? So when the child starts facing these issues is where the child gets into the early stage of depression. The child starts doing something or acting something which the child is not supposed to do, or take certain decisions which is affecting the life, right? Or starts doing something just to show off and to be a part of the peers around, and just to show the parents that I can also do it. Starts doing something which he or she is not supposed to do, right? So certain acts I'm talking about, and that goes very detrimental for the life also at a later stage. So yes, that happens, and I have so many cases coming up, and in fact, at the age of 14 and 15, the child starts doing certain things, selling certain elements and all, which the child is not supposed to be doing it, or starts taking certain how do I mention that? But they are not supposed to be taking certain food, certain uh, drink, I would say, which they are not supposed to have it at age of 14, right? But they are doing it just to be a part of the peers, just to show that I am also capable of doing, and just to show to the parents that since you refused, I am doing this. Yeah. So I do, in on an average, I guess among all the cases I'm handling, 60% of the cases are that.
Okay. Rita, what would you say about the competition which the children are facing nowadays? Due to which they are resorting to extreme measures. So you see that competition in any of your aspects also, career aspect.
There's huge competition. Um, I wouldn't say our boards are becoming liberal, but the kind of marks that we used to get to the kind of marks which are
Yeah.
now possible puts a pressure on each and every child. So while in the last few days, especially for Mumbai University, when the admissions were happening and they are still happening, the anxiety, the stress level goes so high because it's a competition which you are seeing, and you are wanting to be only into certain colleges and certain courses. Now that journey does not start only at the time when you are at the 12th grade, when you have to get admission, or at the 10th grade. It starts much earlier with the habits that you have, and that habit is basically telling you that I need to study for those many number of hours, or if my IQ is this, like how we started, that failure is not a possibility there. But competition plays a lot on you, and you say that okay, if everybody is getting 98, 99, less than 90%, I will not get admission, so I have to do anything to achieve it. There are courses which are meant for everybody, there are options which are meant for everybody. So what is that child may have, which may not be just getting them into the mainstream, and which is based only on marks. So it's like saying that maybe my child is very good in any creative career, or any kind of sports, or any such options which uses a certain skill that they have, and then they don't have to face a competition, because the competition there is based on what you are probably not looking, or you are not good at, and you've got your marks which are not what the market is offering. So you are looking for a course which is with minimum percentage of, let's say, 94 or 95, while you may be good at something else.
Right.
So when you start recognizing that at a much earlier stage, then you're in a marketplace which is where there is no competition for you, or you are utilizing what your strengths are, and then you will always work for it. If you are interested in something, you will put in an effort.
Yes.
It's just a matter of self-awareness. It's a matter of knowing your own self better, and then utilize those skills, or whatever capabilities that you have, and you will go in that direction. It's like saying that if I like to do something, I will do it for as many number of hours, and then you will not be facing, because everybody else is going for a certain course, whether it is engineering or whether it is there are a lot of children who come back and say that okay, we joined for a certain coaching class, now we are not able to cope up, because when you are taking a decision, probably you went because there was competition, and along with the competition is what everybody else was doing.
Right.
But if you understand what you are really interested in, maybe you will not even face this competition.
In fact, I
And
remember.
then it will not put a stress. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Then it will not put a stress on you.
Right. I remember an instance of the first suicide which I heard was like when I was in my teenage, and there was one guy named Anand, and he was doing CA, and till date he had never failed, and in CA course he failed once and he committed suicide, and we were completely shocked because he was such a jolly person. So I think that one thing of not being able to accept that failure, probably I think this is what we have actually learned in more so in India, where we see that every time success is being appreciated, efforts are not being appreciated. Even in school, and in fact, when nowadays even parents are actually putting that thing in the children that okay, fine, so you need to come first, you need to be first over there. Okay, even if the child comes second, so they'll ask him who was the first.
First.
So I think and that's where children are learning this from. So they are not able to, they are not learning that we should be focusing on the efforts, because result is sometimes not in your hand, but efforts always are.
uh, I would like to add something here, Kamal. It's not only this. There are many a times that parents' inhibitions and thought process also escalates on the child, and the child tends to do something which is not supposed to be done. So recently, my client was there. She was a 17-year-old girl, and she had some anxiety issues and all. I was working on the child. After 16, 17 sittings, the child was good, and the family migrated to US, and just 20 25 days before receiving a call that everything is okay, ma'am, I've got my graduation degree, and the child seemed to be so happy. And I was just discussing all the thing, and just a week back I'm getting a call that from the aunt of the child that she's committed something which is not supposed to be done, and she's lost her life. And well, I felt really bad because she has been a patient, and I had worked with the child then she really needed help. While just 2 days back, I spoke to the aunt, and I got to know that there was a thought process with the mother had, and that had escalated heavily to the child. The mother has been already since she was a girl child. The mom had already been telling the child that don't let anybody touch, and that was so much often spoken. It would have been good if the child would have been explained the responsibilities behind the touch rather than not to do it. It was so much into it that the child was in a relationship at 19, and the the child's boyfriend happened to kiss her on the cheek, but that went up so much on the child that I'm not worth going back to my house because a guy has touched me. And she took a step which was not supposed to be taken. So a parent's staunch beliefs and thought process and the wordings that are used sometimes passes on and escalates to the child, and the children tend to have a strong belief with that words.
So now we have understood, how grave this problem is. We need to also understand, what can be done to, improve the mental health of children. So we'll start with Shilpa. Shilpa, what kind of nutrition can, or maybe you can also inform us what are the mood boosters, because we only know one thing, that's chocolate.
Yes,
We don't know
chocolate
anything.
is.
Yeah, so I mean, any other food, which can be good in regular improvement, as well as sometimes, if you are not in a good mood, how to boost your mood.
Okay, the first and the foremost I would like to tell parents is to eat maximum at home, because now there's a culture that once a week at least they want to go
Yes.
out and eat, and that is being that once a week doesn't stay at once a week. That is like in between you buy some junk, maybe it's a vada or a samosa or a cake, whatever. So either you stick to your words once a week, or if you, the frequency is even lesser, that's best. And yes, chocolate is, yes, high, but I would say something like banana milkshake or a banana lassi, because banana is also very good in potassium, which helps you calm your nerve when you are under stress. And as I said, milk is a rich source of tryptophan, which gives you that serotonin and which also helps in boosting your mood. So something like if you are under stress or in anxiety, you can quickly make a milkshake or eat a banana and have milk. Apart from that, as I was talking about whole grain. So laddus are a very favorite of our culture. So something like laddus can be made with lot of dry fruits, some seeds added to it, and some whole grain, maybe a little wheat flour, nachni flour, different flour. So if your child is under stress, you can always have this thing stored at your house, and even if the child eats it at a frequent interval, at least the child is getting some amount of nutrition. So the brain is at least getting some good energy.
Great. Okay, Riddhi, what kind of tips you would like to share with parents, where they should work upon to improve the mental health of their children?
The one and only thing which I would like to tell the parents, and the tip is listen to your children. Listen to their behavior, listen to their body language, listen to the wordings they use, and half of your problems are solved.
Right. Rita, what's your take on this? What tips you would like to give the parents? Something which they can implement, maybe something for themselves and something for their children. What kind of tips the children can implement?
So an over controlling parenting is always something which is very, very detrimental to anybody to progress and explore. So the environment within the family has to be something which is an accepting environment and not being, like how Riddhi said, not a judgmental environment. Then the child will always come back and share. And sharing whatever you are and not what the world is expecting you to be. And that is something which, if that can be an environment in the house, a child will always come back and share.
Dr. Devang,
Yeah, as far as the parents are concerned, I have the same wording, but in a different, meaning is that don't be a helicopter parent. You're
So
constantly hovering around the child. Khaya, soya, piya, ye kiya, wo kiya. No, not like that. And for the kids, I have only one thing to tell them. There is, no big failure or there is no big success. Every child is a unique. Like your own hand, you have 5 different fingers. Each of them has a unique function. So as a child, you are also unique. There is no need to compare yourself with the others. Once you realize that self-unique quality or self-uniqueness is best among the others, these extreme steps will never occur in your life. Okay?
so
Thank you.
one last question for Riddhi. Riddhi, what would you advise the children, because you have been counseling the children also, right? So what are those few tips, which you give the children and which actually help them understand their how to improve their mental behavior?
So kids, you are special. Don't forget that for everybody on earth. So I understand that you have your own challenges. I understand that you have a lot of competition. But speak. Speak your needs, speak your wants, speak your problems to your parents. Yeah. I understand that they come from a different school of thoughts, but it's never late or it's never wrong to connect to your parents. They are the ones who will show the right path. So always speak. Speak your heart out.
Perfect. In fact, there's one more thing which I would also like to share. What I am doing with my child is I tell him that do certain things where you have to wait for it, like maybe planting some seeds, and you have to plant the seeds and you have to wait for a day to see even it growing. Again, you wait for the one more day and then you see it growing further. And then when you ask them, did you do something about it? And he says no, but still it grew up. So we have to understand that sometimes we have to allow the things to happen rather than trying to control them each and every moment. Not everything is in our control. So we would be sharing some more tips. We will be sharing some more ideas, and you can join our Facebook group. Facebook group is you can go to www.parentingexperts.online. I would spell it for you. It's www.parentingexperts.online. ONLINE. So this would take you to our Facebook page. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
There was one very important,
तू
statement
जाना,
in
तेरा
a child
tuition
psychologist